Hey everyone, let's talk about a beautiful essay today. The essay has been titled Marriage as a Social Institution and it's been written by Stephen L. Nock. Moving ahead. So here is a question for you to answer at the very beginning. What types of marriages are in practice in your culture? I believe everybody knows about love marriage, right? I think it's the very first type of marriage that comes to mind. And the one we can say is arranged marriage, in which parental role is vital. Similarly, you can also, think about court marriage. Maybe, there is running away, maybe a flying marriage, or different other forms of marriages are possible in our society. It makes difference like whether the couple take marriage as a purely private affair or not. Depending upon that, they have the preferences, and certain tribal communities have their own practices of marriage that is varied and wide in Nepalese context. Moving ahead, let's have an eye about the information given about the author. So Commonwealth Professor of Sociology at the University of Virginia has written this essay. Stephen L. Nock investigated issues of privacy, unmarried fatherhood, cohabitation, commitment, divorce, and marriage in American context. Okay, so he worked for the American government to formulate family policies and implement them to strengthen marriage and to promote the, let's say, parental care for children. The main idea of this essay has been illustrated here. In this essay, the writer advocates for marriage against cohabitation. He does this to build up strong family and parental care for children because cohabitation has become an increasingly wider social problem in American societies. Therefore, many children are living without their parents, right? When parents go for divorce and the children get stranded, the writer advocates marriage because marriage strengthens family life and parental care for children. So he opts for marriage rather than cohabitation. This essay has the same contention of the writer. Moving ahead, the entire ideas of the essay can be summarized in five simple points, and I want to take you through the points. Okay, the very first point that we see in this essay is marriage has been defined as a social institution. Or let's say the writer argues that marriage is a social institution. Whenever we hear the word institution, we think that it is a stable entity. It has some location, it has some purpose, it has goal and objective to fulfill. Sometimes we cannot or we do not easily take marriage as an institution, but if we take into this matter deeply, we find it as an institution. According to the writer, marriage can be taken as a social institution because it makes a unit of society. All right, after an individual, there is another unit of society that we call family. To make family, at least people should get married. Okay, unless otherwise, a boy and a girl, or maybe like let's say two people, at least they have to get married and they have to live in a separate housing. They have the different dwelling place, and that's how they make a unit of society. So for this, marriage is necessary. Okay, marriage also has rules and regulations. So married couples have to follow certain moral, social code of conduct. They cannot go beyond the moral and social code of conduct. Therefore, marriage, like other institutions, also has rules and regulations. Definitely, marriage also has hierarchy and division of work. The power division, who is the head of the family, it is already decided by the marriage. In patriarchal society like ours, usually the father is the head of the family, and then the mother, and then their firstborn child. Okay, this is how a hierarchy poster positions are given to the people when they get married to each other, right? Similarly, in patriarchal society in the past, right? The role of the father was to go out to make money and manage the family expenses, right? But today's time, all right, either parent, either mother or father, they might be going out, they might be making money. Nevertheless, there is a division of work. Who should stay in the kitchen, take care of the children, all right, feed them, clothe them, and who should go out to make money. All right, this division of work can be seen in marriage. Therefore, marriage is an institution. It is culturally patterned and integrated into all the social institutions such as education, the economy, and politics. Because married couples, they have to think of their career, their education, who should go to university, who should give up education, or how they should plan for the education of their children. Okay, how they can manage the expenses of their family, how much they can invest for their education, career, or their children's well-being, or whether these married couples, they have to live in a particular place, having the citizenship, voting rights, this and that. All these things are interrelated with marriage. Therefore, marriage can be taken as a social institution, says the writer. Okay, so I think I have clarified the very first point. Moving ahead to the second point in this essay, the writer discusses about the benefits of marriage for men, not for women. Because he raises this thing because in American context, more divorces are there mainly because the male counterparts, they have failed to believe in marriage. Therefore, in this essay, the writer tries his best to convince the men to believe in marriage. Okay, if a man remains honest to his relationship, if he maintains fidelity and he remains a responsible person, his marital life is very likely to go for a long period of time. Therefore, in this essay, the writer wants to convince the men that saying that marriage is really beneficial for them. Let's say what he says here is that in the essay, the writer says that marriage provides structure to the life of the man. So it organizes their ambitions. Marriage makes men more disciplined and dignified. They do not go wasting their time, right, doing nothing. Rather, they get committed to their work. They begin to get to work. They begin to be responsible because they got somebody to please. They got somebody to feed and clothe at home. Therefore, earlier they set up their goal and they are likely to make big progress in their life. But unmarried men, let's say, they just go wasting their time doing nothing, just strolling in the street and passing their valuable time without any purpose, objective, or goal in their life. Therefore, marriage is really beneficial for men, says the writer. Okay, this is the second point the writer has illustrated in this essay. Moving ahead, there is the third point that we got to remember. The writer has made a citation from Emil Durkheim's work. Okay, Emil Durkheim, renowned writer, sociologist, right? So what he says about marriage and how it's been illustrated here in this essay. According to Emil Durkheim, marriage has a protective role, right? Durkheim observed that since basic human necessities, food, housing, clothes, are more or less available in all advanced society, even in African and South Asian societies for almost all the people, let's say, the desires among modern humans are focused more on well being, comfort, luxury, and prestige. So these days, people are not simply running after food, clothes, and shelter. They are running after luxury, after desires, after comfort and prestige. For this, like people have to get married, and they are married, and they find this purpose, right? They go, they opt for, they wish for some comforts, maybe buying a big bungalow, buying a very expensive brand of car. Such like priorities come in the life of the married couple. So, according to Emil Durkheim, these are the benefits of marriage. Durkheim furthermore goes on saying that even marriage helps minimize the suicidal mentality among men. The research done by Emil Durkheim has proven this thing. Therefore, marriage is really important for men. The writer goes on adding this point in the essay. The next thing that the writer has clarified in the essay is the difference between marriage and cohabitation. cohabitation is a word for living together. I think you guys like know about cohabitation, living together, which is not much in practice in our community, right? But elsewhere in United States, in Canada, in Australia, cohabitation is a very common practice, like between the two, without getting married, a boy and girl, or maybe people coming together and living. This kind of practice is there. In the essay, the writer has contrasted, shown difference between marriage and cohabitation, and to clarify that marriage is really more beneficial for men and others, right? Let's say what he says about marriage is that it is a stable and a durable relationship, whereas cohabitation is a very weak bondage. It may end up the guys, now the girls, they might have a breakup in no time. So just to cohabiting partners, right? It's a very weak relationship, whereas marriage is a social institution. It was for longer period of time. Similarly, another difference is that financial sharing between the partners is there and possible among the married couples, whereas the cohabiting partners maintain separate accounts, they have their own bank balance, right? They might go on separate holidays, so they may not go together, right? So this is another difference. The third difference is that married couples have a commitment for family and bearing a child, and so making a family is very important for the married couples, whereas between the cohabiting partners there is no commitment for parenthood. They even don't think of having a baby. Okay, so this is another difference. The next difference is that married couples are more responsible to their parents and relatives. So let's say you were walking in the street and you happen to bump into a person from your village, maybe he's or she's a relative. You can introduce to your wife or your husband, your spouse, very easily, very comfortably. There is no question of morality that hinders you from introducing your partner to your relatives or maybe members of your society. But if you are with your cohabiting partner, you do not even find a word so to introduce your partner to your relatives or to your people. Okay, there is no responsibility towards the spouse's parents and relatives if we talk about cohabitation. Okay, so these are the differences that the writer has highlighted in the essay between marriage and cohabitation. So I think you are catching up the details. Now, after the third point, I want to take you to the fourth point, the second last point in this essay. The fourth point in this essay is all about discussing marriage as a social capital. Okay, what is a capital? Capital, everybody thinks is just a sum of money, but it is not exactly limited to that thing. Okay, so there could be physical capital that is very tangible. For example, your home, your car, your bank balance, money, your wealth. This is what we call physical capital. Okay, there is another capital that is called human capital. Human capital is less tangible than the physical capital. Human capital is your intelligence, your understanding, your study, your career, like the kind of work you can give to a certain company or organization. Okay, so you are a skillful engineer. Let's say you are teacher or you are a professor or you are a designer. So you have the idea. That's what we call the, let's say, human capital. Okay, you collaborate with others in your office. There are many members, and so you generate some kind of image and branding for your company through this human capital. Okay, on the other hand, social capital is the least tangible one. It cannot that easily be realized. This kind of relationship, friendship, bondage, okay, marriage, these are social capital. It is all about, networking. All right. That's what in the essay, the writer says that once you get married, you go on widening your network in the society. So you begin to know more people, you get connected to many more people, like the people that belong to your spouse, right? So relatives may help in the hours of need. Take, for example, if you are in critical illness or you are in immediate need of some money, maybe the relatives belonging to your spouses may help you. They can give you a word, they can give you a kind of consolation, they can take you to certain positions that you can get help from them. Nobody can thrive alone. If you want to make a progress in life, you cannot go alone. If you are alone, left alone in this long walk of life, so you cannot make a progress. So to progress, you got to collaborate. You got to establish a very strong network along with other people. Only then, so many people know you, and then you get to the topmost positions, or you turn out to be influential person. So therefore, yeah, this kind of capital marriage can be taken as. The writer so further says that marriage increases the reliability and trustworthiness of people among the members of the society. Once people get married, even in our society, restly others, like let's the members of the society, they begin to trust them. Okay, so the trustworthiness can be okay increased after people get married. So this is the another point the writer has discussed in the essay. So moving to the last point that we got to know in this essay, at the end of the essay, the writer has discussed the 6 dimensions of normative marriage. So normative marriage is the one that observed by following the norms, right? So it's a traditional form of marriage, right? That we observe all the norms of this marriage. So normative marriage has these 6 different dimensions. If you talk about the normative marriage, the very first thing is that it is a voluntary union between the partners. Okay, so they have to people have to go for their marriage by themselves. It is their willingness to get married to the person that they are going to get married to. Okay, there should not be any other person like enforcing them to get married to each other. Therefore, it is a voluntary or it's a kind of willing union between the two. Similarly, so there must be mature people. Okay, so immature marriage cannot be taken as a normative marriage. Only the mature people who have reached the marriageable age, they can get married to each other. Another dimension of normative marriage is that it is all about heterosexuality. Normative marriage is possible only between these opposite genders, right? A man and a woman, a boy and a girl, like getting married to each other. They are opposite genders. There must be heterosexuality. All the forms of marriages cannot be taken as a normative marriage. Likewise, man is considered as the primary earner of the family after getting married. Like they make a family, and man is the primary earner. So he has to take the responsibility of making money and so managing the family expenditure. So this is already preconceived by the married couples. Similarly, the married couple also have a strong commitment for parenthood. They have a commitment. They are resolute about giving birth to a child and continuing the family genealogy. Okay. And the last and very important thing about normative marriage is that there is fidelity between the two. The married couples should remain morally faithful to each other. They should not be cheating. If they're cheating, their marriage ends up in divorce in no time. Therefore, it's the last dimension of the normative marriage. I think I clarified all these 5 different points that we can see in this essay. The entire essay has been summarized. In fact, so every point is a question from this lesson, and I think you can very well answer these questions. Thank you very much for listening to me. Okay, bye bye. See you.